This video is going to describe how I do online labs using Google Docs. So to begin with, I need a couple goals. My goal is to create a lab with clear instructions for the students so I don't have to go around following up all the time. Communicate to the students the grading process, and then go from there with easy to grade for the teacher, and self-organized when the files get turned in amongst all the other files that I've created and I've collected. So to do that, what I've come up with is something that has two documents. The first document are the instructions. Now, a couple things about this document before I show you, and I'll slide through and show it in detail, but it's color-coded. So in other words, the title of it's blue, and all these little bars that I have, they're all blue. That way when I'm walking around the class and I'm looking at people's computer screens, I can see they're on the instruction screen because it's got these blue bars on it. So that just helps me from a distance to know where the students are. The top blue bar and the yellow bar, they're actually just tables that I've colored. Now on this document, nobody but me has the right to edit it, so I'm not sharing it for everyone to edit. I'll describe why in a little bit. When I do share it, I'm going to put it on the web so that those with the link can actually see the document, or I might just put it on the web so anyone can search it and find it. It just depends. I'll show the address of the file with these instructions. So what I've done is, when you go through and you share this, it gives you a link, and I've taken that link and put it into goo.gol. It's go.gl to shorten it. And I put that short link on the document, so next year when I look at this document, I'll know what the web address is. And because it's real short and easy, I can write it on the board, or I can write it on a piece of paper for my students. And I've also included a place that indicates the accompanying file that this goes with. So remember, our labs are two documents. This is just one of the documents, and there's where the other one goes. And on the document, there's my goo.gol address, so when it gets shared, I know next year where the address is, so I don't have to do that all over again. This document contains instructions. That's all it is. That's why it's the instructions document. So those instructions, they contain information about how to use equipment, use software, follow procedures, safety precautions, and a lot of this is done with video clips as well as written text. So I've got both types of instructions going for me because people learn differently. Some are audio learners, some are visual learners. Other needs to read it, just read the text and interpret what's going on. So I've got all those things going on at the same time in these instructions. And whenever I have videos, I try to indicate that with a little icon that I created. So it's a little picture of a camera. Now, again, the whole thing's just shared with everyone in class when I'm ready to do this. And then, of course, it's also got the questions on this document as well. So this document is not for student editing. This is just the instructions that I'm giving to them, both with videos and written instructions at the same time, and the questions themselves. So here's what the document looks like. This is one of the labs I had earlier on with a high-speed camera. You can see a couple things about it up here in the upper right-hand corner. There's the short URL for the document, so you can find it later. And there's the accompanying document. The one thing I would change on this is actually I'd take my short address up here, my short URL, and attach it to there as well. Now everything here with the red star, these are all just one-row tables, one column, one-row tables. So that's how I created them. I made the background blue, the text white, or the background yellow, and it makes it stand out since I'm on a computer screen. Why go black and white? Why not use the color to my advantage? Now these other things I've put on my template, I've created a graphic in another program and just put them on my template. And I have lots of these on my template. I just keep the ones I want and delete the other ones, because my labs change over time in terms of what I'm looking for my students and how much guidance I give them. In the beginning, I tend to give them a lot of guidance, and as time goes on, it becomes a lot more wide open. So if I scroll up my document, I can see a couple more things. I've got a couple more sections up here, like the computer files they'll need. If there's background material, this one didn't. I should have just deleted that bar. Materials for the procedure. So going black and white, why not use a color picture? So I've got a color picture of the setup with the camera there. And then I've got a video describing some things about what's going on. You can see I've got my little icon. And I've got another video showing how to use the software they're using to analyze everything that's going on with this activity. A data section, just describe what kind of data I'm looking for. And then a question section. And I've got a little bit about the error analysis, and I've got a link there to help in case they miss something in class. And then I got my conclusion. All right, so two documents. Second document. Second document is the graded report. This is the one that I'm actually going to look at. This is the one the students edit. So they're going to make a copy of this. And again, it's color-coded. So this one you can see I've got red all over the place. So I got red and yellow bars, the table's the first row, and the background color is red, or the background color is yellow. I'll share this one with anyone with a link, and then I'll make it a short goo.gol address, and I've put that in the top right hand part of this document. The yellow box includes instructions on how to make a copy of this. So what I've done is I've set this up so anyone with a link can actually view this. And then what the student will do is they'll log into their Google account, the Google Apps account. And once they're in their Google Apps account, they'll view this document. Then they'll go to the file and make copy. And when they make a copy of it, this document becomes theirs. Then from there, they share that with their partners, and they share that with me as well. And for these documents, because the names of them can get long, I give these documents some kind of acronym. So this is kinematics along an incline, so I might call that KIA. And since it's high-speed photography, it's actually KIAHS. So I can distinguish it from some of the other labs that I have with other pieces of equipment. Another nice thing I like about this has really helped me to communicate to the students is a grading rubric. So there's some kind of grading rubric. You can do it as a percentage, or you can do it as points. This one's done as a percentage. I've kind of converted over time to things that are done as points, actually. Number and spaces for student responses on the document, which I'll show in a little bit. And I put a piece in there that says replace this text with your answer in a blue font. So all the student responses are in a blue font. Again, it's for me to help grade it, to see what's going on real fast. Now when I'm grading it, I'll use the comment feature built into Google Docs to make comments about what's right and what's wrong with the document as I go through it. And because I'm doing these comments, what's nice is I can take a mastery approach to this. So I can give it back to the students, let them see it again after I've made the comments, and then go through and they can adjust and make changes and see if they can, figure out what's wrong and try to improve that. And then I'll do the final grade. And when I do the final grade, I'll put the numbers in the rubric, and I'll change actually the name of the document. So the last little bit might be the grade, like 30 out of 35, so 30/35 on the end of the title, which again, I'll show you in a moment. All right, so let's take a look at this document. Here it is. This is the student version of it. You can see I've got the title on the top. That's just a one row, one column table with the background red and the text is white. And the next one is one row, one column, background yellow, text is black. And the yellow one is gives instructions for what the students to do. It says, do not edit this document, make a copy of the document, include your answer in the document. Rename the KAIHS, which is this lab, document by appending the year, class period, and then the names of your partners in alphabetical order. So I gave the example of 2011 space 3/KAIHS/ Amidala, Binks, and Skywalker. So that's the lab group they're doing. And that way when they share it with me, it's really easy because it's got the number on it. It's got the 3KIHS. So what I can do is I can actually search for this. When I'm grading them, I can find all for a certain class period. I would just search for 3/KIHS in quotes. And what I'll do is that will find all of them that are there. And if the student misnames it, then they didn't follow directions. And if I do find it, I'll go back to them and follow up with them about finding it. And maybe I'll do something else about the mastery process, but part of it is following directions. I have to emphasize that. So there's the rubric. As we move through the document, I see some pieces here. There was a pre-lab on this particular one, some data and some questions, and you can see how I didn't type the questions on this document. The first time I did this, I put the questions on this document. What the students did was they saw the questions and they never looked at the instructions. And then they came back with, well, I don't know how to answer this, because they didn't do the lab. They were just trying to answer the questions without actually doing the lab. So for me, what seems to work best is if I put a space on this document where the answers go and put the questions on the other document with the instructions. Otherwise, they never look at the instructions, and it's horrible. I put some placeholders in here for images that I want. So because it's on a computer, we'll take some screenshots and put the screenshots in here. We'll be using Logger Pro, so they'll create some data. So in the beginning, I try to help them out about this is what the screen should look like. And so I've provided some placeholders that are there so they can kind of see, get an idea of what it should look like. As we go on, the placeholders become more generic and they're not so descriptive of what I'm actually looking for. A spot for the error analysis, conclusion, and then all this is here to help me grade it so I can find the pieces. And the reason why I do this on a separate document is because I'm scrolling up and down on the computer screen less often. If I put everything on the instruction document, I'm scrolling up and down all over the place to find the answers. But this way it's nice and concise for me. Also, later on when we get into bigger labs where they become more open-ended, more inquiry-based, there's less guidance on those labs. So there's a page of instructions, and then the lab that they turn into me just might have something really basic about turning in at the top of it, reminding them how to cite information they might be using for research on the web and put it all together. So this all kind of changes dynamically as time goes on. It's all this long growth process. And finally, there's a completion confirmation page. And the completion confirmation page is a Google form. And on the form, it's asking a student, your group is being paid $10,000. How would you pay everyone in your group, and why would you pay them like that? And then I also give some examples of if there are 4 people, everyone should get $2,500. So they can kind of see how the load is distributed in the group and how they would pay each other. And the first lab, you really don't look at it. But eventually you can sort it by the student after 3 or 4 labs, and you can see if a student's having problems with all the different lab partners they're working with. Then you can intervene with the behavior of the student and not penalize them grade-wise, but talk to the student about what they're doing wrong in the lab groups or how to improve. When they share the documents with me, this is what it looks like on my screen. So this is from a lab that we recently did. I had to take off the student names. OLA, this was the Ohm's Law activity that I did, and this is 8th period, so it was OLA 8. I didn't put the year on this particular one. I don't know why I didn't do that. And then I've got the name of the student following that. So OLA 8, and then you can see the one I left on there was Smith, because that's a fairly generic name. And then after that, the number of points the student earned. So the OLL 8, Smith, and they got 10 out of 10 points. The owner and the last modification stuff, that doesn't matter. That had some of the student names on it, so I just got rid of all that. So that's what it looks like on my screen when I'm doing the grades. And it's nice because then I can alphabetize it by student as well, and then just run right through everything into my grade book. It's a nice way of getting it all organized. I've tried Doctopus and a couple other things. This way, the students' work is still confidential between me and them, so other students can't really see what they're doing or copy what they're doing as well. It's a little more individual when I'm doing the grades like this. Oh, these were the pieces. That's the title, the acronym I used for this, the lab period, the student's name, and the score. Alright, so I'm using the 2 forms on this, one with the instruction and the graded report. I kind of explained the reasons why with all this. There are templates that you can go ahead and you can use and adapt them however you want to do it, but it's how I found works best for me for doing the online labs in Google Docs.